Dexter Southfield Middle School Grammar. Today we are talking about direct and indirect objects. In order to know what a direct object is or what an indirect object is, you need to know what a complement is. A direct or indirect object comes under the category of a complement. There are different types of complements, and a direct or indirect object is one of them. So a complement is a word or a word group that completes the meaning of a verb. And in each of the following four sentences, there are complements. I made a painting. Painting is the complement here. I made what? I made a painting. It complements the verb made. I made Harold the painting. In this case, there are a few complements here. First of all, there's, again, painting, because it completes this verb. I made what? I made a painting. But also, there's a person who received the action, and that would be Harold. Harold received the painting. So I made it for whom? I made it for Harold. So Harold is also a complement. And then the project is a painting. Well, in this case, painting, again, is another complement. The project is what? The project is a painting. And again, this time the verb is a linking verb, but it's right there. And then the project is difficult. In this case, this is the first time a complement is not a noun. The complement is the word difficult. The project is what? The project is, again, a linking verb, difficult. So you may have noticed that in the first two, we had action verbs, and in the second two, we had linking verbs. All of which is important to note as we start to study complements. Now, each of these complements is a different type of complement. Today, we're going to talk about direct objects and indirect objects only. Direct object, oftentimes called the DO, is a noun, a pronoun, or a word group that tells who or what receives the action of the verb. It answers the question whom or what after the verb. An indirect object, oftentimes called the IO, is a noun, pronoun, or word group that sometimes appears in sentences containing direct objects. The key here is sometimes appears. Not all sentences that have complements in them or have direct objects in them have an indirect object. They sometimes appear. If it is there, it will answer the question to whom, or to what, or for whom, or for what after the verb. So take a look at these three sentences. Each of them has some kind of direct object and maybe an indirect object. The first one, I gave money. So one thing at a time, we'll take a look at the entire thing here. I gave money. I is your subject. Gave is your verb. It's an action verb. I gave what? I gave money. Money is your DO. Second sentence, I gave the charity my money. Again, one thing at a time. I is your subject. Gave is still your verb. I gave what? Did I give charity? Well, not really. I gave money. So again, money is still your direct object. But now the question is, to whom received the money? In this case, we have the word charity. And charity is acting as your indirect object. I gave what? I gave money. I gave it to whom? I gave it to the charity. Now be careful here. You might be thinking this next one has the same exact situation. One thing at a time. Subject is I. Verb is gave. I gave money to the charity. Well, for the third time in a row, money is your direct object. The question is charity still the indirect object? And the answer is no. To the charity is a prep phrase. To being the preposition, charity now acting as the object of the preposition. So you have to look at sentences carefully to make sure that what you're dealing with is actually an indirect object and not a prepositional phrase. Key is to look for the prepositions, identify them. Take a look at this extra example. The artist made me a painting of the buildings in Boston. So I identified the subject and the verb for you. See if you can find the direct object and the indirect object. Okay, So what exactly did the artist make? Didn't make me, it didn't make a building, it didn't make Boston, so it made a painting. That's your DO. Now, who received the painting? Did the buildings receive the painting? Did Boston receive the painting? No, I received the painting. Me, right? So this is going to be your IO. And the question is, what about the rest of the sentence? Well, be careful, because it was all a bunch of prep phrases. Of the buildings, and then in Boston. Of is a preposition, in's a preposition. Buildings is your object of the preposition. Boston is your object of the preposition. For reflection, answer this question. What are the important strategies to use when identifying direct and indirect objects?